Hello everyone, my name's and today we will be talking about the history of casual games and the impact it had on the gaming industry. Back in the day, video games weren't as complex and time-consuming as they are today. With games like Pong, Tetris, and Donkey Kong, anyone could get into it. These games had basic controls and goals to accomplish. Don't let the ball fall, connect the blocks, avoid the barrels, etc. Compared to games in the past, present games are more technically advanced, competitive, and are huge time commitments. First-person shooters, fighting games, and sports games have huge competitive scenes. Many players invest hundreds of hours to be the best in the game or even make a career out of it. MMOs are constantly updating their stories and mainline quests, making the time spent on them limitless. Even JRPGs such as Persona 5 take 100 hours to complete, and it's not just unique to this game. If you aim to do everything that these games have to offer, you'll be spending hundreds of hours to complete them. Although games have gotten much more complex, casual games have continued to be made and catered to anyone in the world who wants to have simple fun. These games have had a huge impact on how game developers create games and has changed the way how the industry is today. To start, you may be wondering, what's a casual game? A casual game refers to a type of video game that doesn't require a major time investment to play, win, and enjoy. The typical features of a casual game in the present day are games that are web-based, played on your smartphone or on your tablet. With the release of the Nintendo Wii in 2007, the terms hardcore gamer and casual gamer also became popular. A casual gamer is someone who enjoys any video game without investing significant time into it, playing it spontaneously, irregularly, or infrequently. From the definition, you can infer that a hardcore gamer is the opposite. Taking the definition of what makes a casual game, the beginning of video games can be considered the start of casual gaming. The first game created, Pong, was a very basic, non-time consuming game. The game was released in 1972 and was similar to table tennis, where two players hit a ball back and forth and the game ends when the ball falls off the screen. After Pong's success, many took their idea and more casual games were created. As time went on, technology continued to advance. This allowed video games to be more complex. When Microsoft released the Xbox 360, and when Sony released the PlayStation, and Nintendo released the Wii, video games as a whole became more mainstream than they were before. Before the Wii, Nintendo was directly competing with Sony and Microsoft to make the most advanced gaming console. When the GameCube didn't perform as well as they hoped, they decided to take a different approach from hardware to entertainment. Nintendo decided to go back to their roots and focus on making fun games that bring people together. They wanted to make a console and games that anyone could pick up, even without previous experience. The Wii was a massive success and the reason casual games became a concept in the gaming industry. Previously, most people considered gamers to be young males, but after the release of the Wii, video games became an accessible and mainstream form of entertainment. At the time, the Wii was the best-selling console, and people that don't typically play games now owned and played games on the Wii. With the release of the iPhone in 2007, video games became more accessible than ever. Everyone owned an iPhone, and an iPhone was capable of running games. The mobile world of smartphones became a new market. With the iPhone's simple technology, developers were able to create games more easily. They were also cheaper to produce than your traditional game. In addition to cheaper production, the player also didn't have to buy any new hardware. People had an iPhone already for calling and texting people, so why not make it a game device too? Smartphones are what created the multi-billion industry of mobile games. In 2020, the mobile game market generated a whopping $86.3 billion in revenue, which is apparently a 7 times increase than what was made near the start of the mobile games market in 2012. You may be wondering, how did they become so popular? Some of the original mobile games to make a large impact on society were Candy Crush, Angry Birds, Temple Run, and Subway Surfers. I bet a lot of you remember playing those games when you were younger. And some of you may even remember the classic simulation games of quite literally anything on the App Store, like farming or baking, and also hotels, if I remember correctly. While games like Angry Birds and Fruit Ninja were popular, they weren't free. The games that made the casual industry as big as it is today are the games that are free to play, and games that are now classified in a new genre called hyper-casual games. Free-to-play games are games that have no upfront cost to play and download. All someone would need is a device to download the game, and they can start playing. The first free-to-play game was a game called Quiz Quiz, created by Nexon, released in Korea in 1999. Apparently, this guy is also the guy that made MapleStory, surprisingly enough. Although many people only know this term today because of games like League of Legends, Candy Crush, and Fortnite. While the games are free to play, a lot of the features in the game cost real-life currency. Skins, characters, and weapons in League of Legends are able to be obtained through their respective stores. Games like Candy Crush use real-life currency to obtain more energy to play more levels of the game. Many companies began to realize how much of a moneymaker these games are and started to create more casual games. Through my research, I have come across games that are called hyper-casual games. Hyper-casual games are defined as games that are simple and direct. One of the big companies that make games in this category is called Crazy Labs. Crazy Labs games mechanics are very simple. The player plays the games by slicing, spreading, and tapping on the phone screen, usually with no clear goal. Some of their apps even contain ASMR elements. These games make a profit by having banner ads and video ads. The game rewards players for watching advertisements to win if they initially failed, or to give the player another chance. These games are low quality and struggle to keep the attention of a player for a long time. However, companies have now created a way to make hyper-casual games that are able to retain a player's attention. This subgenre of games are considered hybrid casual. These games have mechanics similar to RPGs that create some sort of progression. This proved to be very successful. An example is the game Archeo, which has made $82 million in 2019. Some companies even started to create games that let the players earn real-life rewards. For example, Battle of Balls lets player win Nike shoes. Kind of title is that? In the East, the free-to-play model is very popular. In Japan, there are a wide variety of mobile games that are free, but have in-game gacha systems where players can spend real money to buy currency for a chance to pull a character in limited-time banners. In the West, this is commonly referred to as microtransactions. While many app games are seen as cash grabs in the West, in the East they are quite successful because many of the gacha games are tied to an already existing IP. IPs like Love Live, Endstars, Fate, Stay Night, and Granblue Fantasy already existed prior to the games, attracting fans to play. Some fans are so dedicated to these games they whale, which means spending absurd amounts of money to get the characters they want. These games are updated every week or month to add in new incentives like events and new characters to keep players engaged. Sometimes gacha games can be successful without depending on an IP such as Genshin Impact. Similar to the West, Japan also has some games that let you win physical prizes. Toraiba is an app that allows players to control a UFO machine with their phone to attempt to win a prize that can be shipped to the player's house. A casual game that blows my mind is the game popular in the Global South called Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity is an online blockchain-based game, also known as NFTs, where players can earn tokens and cash out in local currency. It's very similar to Pokemon. Players in the Philippines play this game as their day job. They can earn up to $2,000 an hour depending on how good they are at the game. The game is so popular that there are waitlists to play the game, and even scholarships, guilds, teams, and programs to get people started to play the game. If you're wondering why they need all that, it's because one monster in the game, also equivalent to like a starter Pokemon, is about 300 USD. And also, fun tidbit, while looking up the article again for this research paper, apparently the game got hacked 2 days ago, where the hackers stole $6 million. Very fun stuff. After all this, you may be wondering, what's my point? Although these games are all called casual games, some of them have clear hardcore elements to them. To be the best, score the highest, earn prizes, and even in some cases, earn money like competitive gamers and streamers. Casual games started off in the Wii era to distinct them from hardcore games made for a general audience for anyone to play. Soon after, app games are now what's considered casual gaming. These games are the biggest moneymakers of the game industry, but some don't have much substance. Hyper-casual games are so simple, some may even wonder if they can call it a game. Do these hyper-casual games have any value in the long run, or do they just play into people's susceptibility to get addicted? Will companies stop making AAA games so they can just earn money? Only time will tell. Casual games, in my opinion, have both made a positive and negative impact on our culture today. At the start, Nintendo made casual games so families could come together and have fun. As time went on, they became sources for money-making schemes, low-quality games. If companies are out for money, these hyper-casual games created a new way for a quick buck. But if they are in it for the passion, games will still be created with a lot of heart. It's just up to the companies to see where games as a whole will end up in the future.
I'm a fire in my laser!